doesn't end well unless it ends. Can't just report the fucking obvious.
I don't care what a critic got to say, I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and
Just
run
a
it all back. I'm
motherfucking
the
jump.
new era, about to
Just
snap
go.
back. You ain't fitting.
I'm the fucking guy, and the other fucking guy who's now sitting on my left instead of my right. We're just trying some different things out.
Is going to be right
Doesn't,
back.
it doesn't really matter to y'all, but it does to us as we try to figure all this shit out. And as we're trying to do that and grow the show, we would appreciate it if you would hit that button to share. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can comment down below. We do encourage you to talk to us during the broadcast. Leo keeps an eye on that, and he'll let me know if you say something interesting. We might comment on it during the show. If you'd like to get a hold of me in some other way for business purpose or other purposes, the best way for you to do that is to check out my other social media platforms. Of course, that is Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and X. Fucking X. Just fuck X. I put out some like good shit, but I know 100% now that I'm being shadow banned. I even had the AI check it out, and the AI thinks that's what's happening to me too. I was up to the big, huge number of 570, 580. I was adding about, 10 people a day. It was at least growing. And then all of a sudden it just went backwards. And I'm barely above 500 now. I just don't, I don't hit, I guess I just don't do that. I don't hit the delete button that often or the unfollow button that often as other people do. I mean, not that I don't do it, it just seems odd to me, especially on X, because it happens on there more than any other platform. So I don't really get that whole thing. And like I said, it's not, and I see some of the inane, stupid bullshit that other people post that drives me insane to think that they have the following they have with the dumb shit they post. So does that mean I need to post more dumb shit? Or I'm
Simple
not
answer,
sure.
yes. Yes. That's
You
an
know,
easy answer, yeah.
I just don't, I don't get the Krasentine brothers. I don't get them.
I don't know who that is.
There are a couple of brothers on the left that have a pretty good following on X. And in fact, I think one of them was it maybe Vance or somebody called him out on something. Or maybe it was Trump in that video. The video where Trump was the king and the pilot, and he was dumping shit, not on Americans. He was dumping shit on the protesters, the No Kings protesters that they were all up in arms with. And it was that Henry Sisson, who's like, his name would be better, Sissy. He's just another young little leftist bitch, kind of beta dude. And he happens to be in that video and shit gets dropped on him. So he loved it because he got to use that then, Use the negative for a positive. I don't know who follows these yokels like that. They just pop up on my feed. I don't have it set that I follow them, but I have made some comments, so maybe that's why it'll pop up more. But it's not, like I said, it's just not special content. So I just haven't figured that out yet. I'm working on it. But it's a great way you can get a hold of me. That way in the messages, usually like on TikTok or something, I'm going to maybe give you my cell phone number. I do that for business purposes. But Messenger is great. That's a good way to get a hold of me directly. But we'd like you to follow whatever platforms you'd like and join us in making this grow. So appreciate that. And Leo, how about your weekend, man? What were you doing? Anything special?
I got to see my aunt that visited from Mexico, so that was really
Nice.
nice. I only get to see
How long
her.
is she up for?
She already left. She was only here for a few days.
Just a long weekend?
Basically, she left on Saturday night.
Mm.
So she got here, I believe it was, I want to say Wednesday, but got a little bit busy with work, so I didn't get to see her until Saturday. Got to get some food, and then she got to go
but
home.
you got to see her.
Oh, yeah, that's all that matters.
That's good.
That's all that matters.
Now, how far down into Mexico does she live?
If you're driving, it is about a 12-hour drive. give or
Holy
take.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
So did she drive? Or did
She
fly?
took, they drove, so my dad went to Mexico, picked her up, and then they drove back. And then she went back on the, I don't know what you call it in English, but like the buses, like they're specifically for international travel.
Really?
Hound buses, Greyhound buses. I used to take them a lot when I was a child.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know Greyhound crossed the border. Learn something new.
It might not cross the border, but it takes you to El Paso, and then they have like a big bus station thing on the border, and then you can get on something else that will take you into Mexico.
Into Mexico.
I'm not sure if Greyhound themselves.
So maybe
goes
like a
into-
partnership. They have a partnership with.
Yeah, because I remember taking these things because that's how I got to Mexico as a kid, was taking the buses. And I remember taking these things all
Now,
the
is
way
that
into
on
Mexico.
the Gulf of America side?
Oh, gotcha.
Right, because if you're going into Texas,
Yes.
so she's probably along the Gulf side in Mexico, right? Or no, or in Central.
Oh, like
Mexico.
where we
Yeah,
live in
yeah,
Mexico?
yeah.
No, we're not next to the Gulf. No,
Okay.
we're like
More inland?
centered Mexico. Yeah.
Okay.
I can show you a picture
Yeah.
just so you can have a more of a better.
Yeah, trying to figure that out because 12 hours, that's a little bit of a drive, man. But
It goes
worth
by
it for
quick.
family.
It goes by
Yeah.
quick.
yeah, I've never done a bus trip like that long. I couldn't even tell you where.
They're a little uncomfortable, to
It
be
was-
honest with you, but
I bet it is.
they'll get you where you need to go. So right here, you're a little bit more southern, so we're like right-ish here.
Okay. So where's El Paso?
Right.
Okay. That makes sense now.
So there's a
Okay.
so this is where you'd cross, and then
Uh-huh.
there's a few different cross. There's one here.
Well, then it makes sense.
There's another one.
That
over
makes
here.
a lot more sense now. Why you would go that direction based on where she's at there?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
I got that.
typically want to avoid this part. Pretty much all this part.
All right. I get it.
Good old Mexico. You gotta love it.
Yes, you do. You do. And so, little bit for us this weekend. We had a enjoyable weekend. We decided to go to the Arizona State game on Saturday. And pretty disappointing in how they played.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't really play as well as they've been playing. You know, just beating the ranked Texas Tech. I was expecting a little bit more out of them during the game. Seats were good. The environment was good. Found a great place to park, even though I couldn't find the parking lot we were supposed to park in that we paid for a parking pass. But I found something better, like a little hidden parking lot at a building, easy to get out of.
Okay.
And, you know, nobody had like stickers that says like, this is your, you know, like staff or something, you know?
Gotcha.
And I wasn't worried about them taking the car or doing something like that, but it was really close. So even though I paid the money for it, I actually found something better. So it worked out anyways. You know, you learn like that. Met some nice people. Went to the what was it? It was a little. It wasn't a little. It was a nice Mexican restaurant, Cochina. Nice. I wish I could remember the name now. I didn't think I was going to talk about it. So, but we got there just before everybody started pouring in before the game. So timing-wise, it worked out very, very good. And then we didn't have to eat, you know, mediocre to terrible stadium food. So that was much, much better. But the game, there was a group of, the one thing I like about college sports is the kids. and the band, playing during the game. I like that. I like the enthusiasm of the college kids. I'm not really a great fan, though, of drunk college kids. That was a little bit annoying to some degree. I kind of held my tongue just a little bit until I didn't. I was like, enough already. Like, just shut the fuck up. Every play is not the referees suck. I mean, although they weren't great, the team just didn't play well. There's just no rhythm. They just didn't play well. And Houston was on. Houston played really solid. And they're, halfway decent team as well. So you can't overlook them. Not a team that was 6-1 and is now 7-1. But it would have been a good win. So Houston definitely deserves to move up into the top 25 for sure. So that was a good win for them. But yeah, we had a great time for that. Bama had a good comeback win. And how about this? Like, it's unbelievable. It's something we probably have to, as fans, have a discussion about, because I think it's getting out of hand. Another coach was fired this past weekend. And it's not a coach I'm a fan of in any way, because I just didn't really like him as a coach at Notre Dame. I didn't like how he left, kind of implying that, like he couldn't win at Notre Dame. And that's so happy that Freeman was able to get them to a national championship game. Once, Kelly left, Brian Kelly got fired this weekend from LSU. And the reason it's a big deal is because he is owed over $50 million. It's over 50. I don't remember if it's 53 or 58 or whatever it is. It's over 50. It's even more.
54.
54? There you go. 54 million. I don't like it. I'm big on, look, if you can get paid, get paid. That's who I am. This is a capitalist system. I believe in capitalism. Whatever you can get somebody to agree to pay you, good for you. But I don't like that the colleges are doing that. I don't like that the colleges are doing these guaranteed contracts for so many years. And once one team does it and one school does it, it really forces the hand of other schools. It's really similar to in the NFL. Once Cleveland broke that barrier of guaranteed contracts at a very big number for a big number of years, that changed the game especially for quarterbacks, right? And you did it for a quarterback who never really performed other than making it to the playoffs. And I think, if I'm correct, Deshaun Watson only made it to the playoffs once. I don't know what they saw in him to pay him more, at least at the time, than every other quarterback, ones that had actually done something and proven themselves. And we're still on the younger side, and it hasn't worked out for him. But it did screw a lot of other teams after that. And we've had this effect that's continued to this day. I don't know if it's going to reverse itself. I don't know what's going to happen in college football. But people are not happy at, the NIL. I'm all for players being able to get money. The system that we had was horrible for college athletes. It was just horrible. And these colleges took advantage of having these star athletes and making money on them. They really did. But in its current form, it does need to be checked a little bit. It's hard. How do you coach, really, when somebody can leave at 3 different times in the year, every single year? And there used to be some, at least, checks. Now, I didn't like the system as it was, but was completely went to the other side too far as well already. And that's what we've also done with coaching now and what these coaches are getting paid. And it's not a good look. Americans, your basic blue collar Americans are looking at this and be like, really? Seriously? A lot of them don't even like the amount of money they're getting paid in the first place. I don't have an issue with that as much as I have an issue with that you weren't doing a good job, but you get to get paid for not doing the job that you were hired to do. But then are the expectations, it's all the things I'm thinking about, but then are the expectations too high? It's going to be easier now to make the college playoffs because of the number of teams. But in some cases, that's just not enough. In the SEC, it's just not enough. And I guess that's true in the Big Ten as well. You got to do more. You got to win the conference, which I think LSU, I believe he won the conference once during his tenure. Can you pull that up? Can you pull up? Just ask Chad to give you stats related to Brian Kelly at LSU. Wins, losses, titles, whatever, bowl games. Maybe you can give us a little bit there. He did go to pretty much a bowl game every year. I don't think they had a losing season. But part of it was the expectations for this year, much like Ohio State, were really, really high for LSU. Before the start of the season, the expectations were off the charts. They thought the quarterback that they had was going to do better than he has. And then losing 3 in a row, they just decide to cash out. But look, there's only one team a year can become that. That's Taylor Kelly. Wrong Kelly. Yeah, it says ASU. It's LSU. Yeah, you put Brian Kelly at ASU, and it came up with a different Kelly. Yeah. That's funny, though. It tries to figure out what you mean, at least. It is funny.
Tries, for sure.
You know what I've really had some fun time doing is getting into a debate with the AI and having it concede at some point that I won the debate. that just makes you feel really good that you beat AI in the debate. I don't know why, but I do like it. See, 2021, so not that long ago, right? So he started 22, so he had the 22, 23, 24. So only 3.5 seasons they got out of him. 10-year deal, $100 million, $10 million a year. They went 10-4, 10-3, and what was it last year? 19-10 in SEC play over the time that he's been there. Didn't make the college football playoffs. But that's not a terrible record, man. It's just not what they expected this particular year. And how many schools should realistically expect that to be, you only get one national champion a year. One. And the most dominant school in the Big Ten is still Ohio State. Now, things are changing a little bit in the Big Ten. You have Oregon, that's a solid program and been a solid program year in and year out. But in the SEC, it's never been just Alabama. It's been Alabama a lot. It's been Georgia a lot. And then you throw in other schools like LSU, even Florida. It's been a minute for Florida. But there's, at least in the last 20 years, there's been more teams that have become national champions in the SEC than any other conference that there is. So it's a brutal schedule. They're playing more ranked teams than other conferences are. Like we pointed out, the top teams in the Big Ten right now pretty much don't have to play a ranked team. I mean, I think Ohio State, the only ranked team they're going to have left is going to be Michigan. Now they play Ohio State plays Penn State this coming weekend. That's not looking good for Penn State. So a bad season going even worse. That's what's going to happen for them. But I don't know. We have to address it somehow. I think people should be a little bit upset when you think about how much money that these schools charge now for an education. And that's where people will get, well, teachers, professors, they don't make that much money. He's just a football coach. It doesn't make the argument look really good when they get paid $50 million or more to leave. It's not a good look. That really, you can really afford to do that? If you can really afford to do that, then you should be able to afford for tuition to be a little bit less. So I'm kind of stuck there. Like, I don't know. But if you guys have thoughts, please drop them in the comments. That's what we want to talk about, is to get some feedback from you. So let us know while you're watching the show if you do have a comment about this, what your feeling is about these coaches getting paid huge, huge money to leave. There were some other great games that we watched and put a little money in my pocket. Vanderbilt had another great win this past weekend. Good for them. And they got Texas coming up, so that'll be interesting. Ole Miss beating Oklahoma was another good game. Just a bunch of good games. Then we go into Sunday, and my Steelers, Sunday Night Football, good Lord, man. It was a hyped-up game. Aaron Rodgers playing the Packers. First time. And the other thing that was cool that could have happened that now didn't is Aaron Rodgers has beaten every team in the NFL except for the Packers. And that's because most of his career obviously was in Green Bay, but his first opportunity to play them and win was last night. And I certainly thought it was possible in the first half, except it was getting a little old. The best player on the entire Steelers team is our kicker. Dude just cranking out 50-yard plus field goals multiple times. And they missed a couple field goals, but they got the touchdowns in the second half, and that was all she wrote. The defense, I'm so over the Steelers' overpaid defense that isn't performing. I guess I have to accept that my team's not as good as I would like them to be. The only good thing for the Steelers, who drop another one instead of moving ahead, the only good thing for the Steelers was that I believe every other AFC North team lost. Ravens lost, Bengals lost, Browns lost. The Browns are just horrible. And I did watch that game, and I was usually watching at least 4 games at a time. I've gotten into that finally in the last 4 weeks, where I'll do the 3 or 4 games at the same time on YouTube on the NFL Ticket, and then just move the sound around to whichever one I want to listen to. But it kind of keeps me updated on what things are going on. I kind of like doing that now. So we've been doing that. But Myles Garrett slamming his helmet. He was mad. The dude had 5 sacks, which set a franchise record for the Browns, 5 sacks in a game. And I just think he was honestly just really pissed that he felt like he was doing his job and even more than his job, but everybody else isn't. I think that because the one thing you can control, there's only one thing you can control, is your effort. That's the one thing you can control. Are you giving it your all? And, he did sign. They said they wouldn't trade him. He didn't have much else he could do. It would not have been a smart idea for him to set out the season. So he took the bigger contract that the Browns offered him. He didn't really have much choice. But the guy wants to win. I can't fault him for that. And, he's playing for the money he's worth. He's showing up. He's worth what he's being paid. I said that about TJ Watt before, and he did that last year. But this year, the Steelers it's not happening. They're not getting turnovers. The defense and the defensive backs, since they've made the changes they've made, are actually worse and not better. I liked Minkah Fitzpatrick when he was with the Steelers. I thought he was a good player for us. I thought he delivered. And Ramsey so far is not delivering. And it looks like Darius Slay, who, has been with a couple other teams. I think it was Lions and Eagles he played for. And at 34, he's just done. He's just a step too slow for these guys. But that is what it is. It was disappointing. Dodgers and Blue Jays. That was kind of cool. On Saturday, was it Saturday night? Jeez, it must have been Friday night. I believe it was Friday night that Dawn and I went to Mastro's Ocean Club. And that was the night the Toronto Blue Jays won the first game. And my neighbor, Chris Bassett, did get to pitch. That was kind of cool they had seated us in the bar area at Mastro's. Great time there that night. But we could see the TVs that they had on at the bar and got to see Chris pitch, and he looked very good. We saw him pitch, I think it was, I don't know, the 7th or 8th inning. I'm not really sure off the top of my head, but good for him. That's just kind of cool. Yeah, he pitched 1 inning. So, yeah. Couple strikeouts, did his job. And hopefully he gets to pitch again during the World Series. So just to see somebody from a small town, I'm sure there are other players from small towns too, but the little town of Genoa, Ohio, 2,200 people. And Chris getting to watch Chris play in the World Series. Everybody's kind of stoked about that. It's good for him. Good for him. So game 3 is tonight back in L.A. So I had picked, my pick was the Dodgers in 6. Somebody asked me. I said the Dodgers in 6. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to go 7 games. Not at all. Because they can, the Blue Jays can get hot. They've shown that. That's how they got there in the first place. All right, so that's one last thing for sports. You got that Wemby video? Holy shit, man. So the NBA started up last week. There's already been some great performances, but in this clip you're going to see probably I've never seen anything like this before. This is crazy. Watch this. All right, we'll just wait a second. Yeah, this guy is a fantastic. Block shot, a block shot. A 3. Somebody gets it back to Wemby there. This guy's 7'4", right? 7'4". He throws up a Caitlin Clark. Dude, that's just 2 blocks in a row. And then, I mean, y'all remember, Shaq couldn't hit free throws. Now you got this 7'4" dude from way the fuck back nailing that 3 like That was the sweet, like it was sweet, man. It was all net. It wasn't even close. I mean, it was just drained it. So that's the kind of things that are exciting. And there's a number of good players right now in the NBA that make it kind of fun to watch again. And that's certainly one, but good for him. That was good. All right. Get to some of our other good stuff that's been going on, or not so good. I don't know. Ice threats. Do we have, well, California. Well, let's do this one with sports and ice, and then we'll get into political stuff. I wanted to show this on Friday, but I didn't get to it. But this just seems crazy to me. The San Jose Sharks apologized to fans after displaying a pro-ice message on the Jumbotron during its Hispanic Heritage Night game at it's this night, it's that night. Anyways, the message, go down a little bit. Go down just a little bit, right? No, down, so I can read it. Yeah, okay. We can go back up, I guess, so I can see it. So basically, I think what happened is, because it was a message from a fan, what they do at these stadiums sometimes now is during the game, you can send in messages, and some of those messages may appear on a scoreboard somewhere. And I'm sure it's somebody's job to, kind of filter them out a little bit. And apparently they, didn't filter this one. But is it really a big deal? Right there it shows it what it is. Fans reportedly booed when the message, SJ, San Jose, Sharks fans love ice. Go get them, boys. Now, I don't know. Is that really a reference to ice, or, that they are using the term ice like as in hockey? San Jose fans love hockey. I don't know. I think it's a big jump, or maybe they did mean ice in the way of the federal ice. Maybe. I don't know. But really, is it something you have to apologize for? I just think that's kind of crazy. Yeah, so that, the video, it's okay. I just wanted that. I just thought it was just silly to make such a big deal out of. And especially when, I really don't understand the hate. This is not new. What's going on is not new. ICE has been around, I don't know how many years. We'd have to look it up. I don't know how many years we've had ICE as a part of being a federal law enforcement. But it's not new. Biden had it. Obama had it. It's been, let's see how. 22 years. Over 22 years. So it was created and before that, somebody else was kind of doing the job, I would assume. You know what I mean? Somebody else was doing that in some way, and then they decided to just make it their own department. These employees are not waking up every day and saying, hey, can't wait to get out there and just grab people off the streets. And the rhetoric that's being said, where they're being accused of going into people's homes and just yanking them out of bed, it's just not a thing. And if it is something that happens, they're going to have a warrant to go in somebody's house. They're not going to not have a warrant. And if they're making that kind of a raid, you can better believe that there is other crimes other than just crossing the border. The ones that are getting picked up that just cross the border are ones that are in the vicinity when they're doing other things. And they said that was going to happen. What they've also said is when you get these people that have, multiple times crossed the border, when you have them in your jail because they've committed another crime, and ICE asked you to hold them so that they can come in the jail and get them. Well, when they do that, they're not going to be picking up other ones on the street like they do. But when you release them and make ICE go into the streets to get them, if there are others around that came into the country illegally, they're taking them too. I mean, this has all been explained. But treating these people like the ICE, like they're somehow that Trump just created this group of special Nazis. It's just insane to me. And the hate and rhetoric that's being said directed towards them. There's one of the cartels put a $50,000 bounty on ICE agents. So one of the reasons that they actually want to be masked out in public is because people have been doxing them, putting up where they live, that kind of information. They're being targeted. Their families are being targeted. They're just doing their job. They're just doing their job. And somehow the left thinks that they need to put food on the table for their families too. They're not just gonna because you said some moral thing that you have that they should just quit and do something else. It's law enforcement. It's law enforcement. And Americans are not being deported. Have a small number out of 1 million people been arrested that shouldn't have been arrested, or at least detained and then released? A very small number. That's happened to. But they are released. They're not being taken and deported if they're an American citizen. That's not happening. And I found this on Officer Tatum's. This is the kind of rhetoric that's going on that is definitely the kind, to me, that promotes violence. So you can go ahead and play this video.
And they got indicted and all kind of stuff. You got a guy that's calling for the death of ICE agents. Don Lemon on his show said that if you're an illegal alien, you need to go buy a gun. And that's what the Second Amendment is for. Going against ICE, you have a deportation order. What are we even talking about? Violence, vitriol, all of these things are what they represent.
Grab a gun. We got to turn around the
Now, if that isn't in plain language making threats, I'm pretty sure that that's illegal. People like that need to be arrested. If that's not inciting violence, I don't know what is. That seems pretty clear to me. And I'm really done with it. They're just doing their job. They're not Nazis, okay? Nobody is being put on a train and taken to gas chambers. People are being put on planes and sent home. That's what's happening, which is their job. If you want to protest peacefully, do your thing. But calling for this type of violence, look, more people have been injured. If you check out in Portland right now, almost on a nightly basis, we have protesters that are attacking law enforcement at some of the buildings, which is why the National Guard was being called in to protect the buildings, to protect the ICE agents in the buildings. You do not have more of these people need to be arrested. The problem is, even when they are arrested, the judges in these places are just letting them go. And these people are ones that are also assaulting more. Don't tell me about, January 6th, which was one day, and where 5 or 6 police officers got injured or whatever it was. That's happening to a larger degree on a regular basis, not just one time. More federal agents have been, in just Portland alone, have been hurt, have been attacked than any number that happened on January 6th. That just it's not a thing, and only one person died on that day, and that was a Trump supporter that wasn't being violent but was crawling through a window. One. That was the only death on January 6th. So I'm just over that bullshit about January 6th. It's really like a man who gets, maybe he strays. His wife finds out. They decide to try to work things out and keep the relationship going. And it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman who strays. It just doesn't matter. The chances that they're going to be able to fix that is almost zero. It takes 2 very committed people to be able to do that, because she is never going to let him forget, ever. Ever. There's no forgiveness. She will never. In fact, I think there'd be a better chance of it happening the other way around and them staying together if it was the woman who strayed and the man who wanted to work things out and make things better. And yeah, because men don't treat it the same way. They will beat you with it from now until eternity. It just will never end. I kind of think of it like that in some ways. Just not going to let you forget. And that's what they're trying to do with this January 6th. Just beat you with it to get you to shut up. Oh, January 6th. Uh-huh. Sure. One time. I don't believe buildings were burned in Washington, D.C. on that day. I don't believe looting took place on that day. And we now know that there were well over 100 FBI informants in the crowd. Apparently only a few, like 3, 5, whatever the number is, I don't remember off the top of my head, were actually supposed to be there. So you tell me, why did all these other informants show up if they weren't asked to be there? How does that make sense? Or were they told, I can't officially tell you to be there, but I would really like it if you went and you were there. Encouraging other people. I mean, there's video of that stuff too. The ICE agents, though, I think this has gone way, way too far. It's one thing when people say it like we saw in that video. That's bad enough. But they get the idea that it's okay because we have so many politicians doing it as well. And that is not okay. It is not okay. So there was related, I don't know if I didn't find it, and I didn't know if I gave it to you last week. I did have something that I pulled up and I researched that you would have thought the media would have researched. So Governor Pritzker of Illinois was being interviewed, And he brought up the fact that he's recruiting more state police and increased the numbers of state police since he's been governor. So I did some checking with it. And what was true, but you had to dig a little bit. You had to push a little bit on the AI to find out the truth, which I did. And actually, the truth is that, yeah, the classes have been bigger recently, but the number of people quitting or retiring has offset that to the point where there's maybe 50 more than there were previously. It's very, very negligible. There was something like 1,800 and there's something like 1,900 now over that period of time. And that's not really the state police's job to do the things that the question addressed, which is the violence in the city. The state police will come in to assist or to back up if they're asked to, but that's not their main function, is not to go into inner cities and deal with, neighborhood violence and drive-by shootings. That's not their job. So Pritzker tried to make a nice deflection there. And if you haven't done the homework like that reporter hadn't, the reporter couldn't really push back. But I put that on the reporter. But now that it is known, because I did the work and found out, I hope when he's asked in the future, somebody can actually do that. Push back, find out, call him out on it, that it's just not true. So I had that kind of went along with that. The shutdown continues this week. Now the big push, the big stick over the weekend is that people aren't going to get their SNAP benefits on November 1st. So their little cards are not going to be loaded up. And I was surprised at the number of people who qualify. That number is 42 million. And we basically have like 340, 350 million is what our population is at. So that's a little bit more than 10%. That's a lot that are qualifying. A lot. I'm going to have to do this homework, what the income levels are to qualify for benefits. Because I've seen people post about this, and, one woman that I presume gets the benefits because she was a little butthurt about what somebody had to say about it. That the woman said that she worked 2 jobs. The chances that she works 2 full-time jobs probably isn't the case. And she was married. So how much is the husband making? And I don't know how many kids they had. So what do we have? Is this the income limits?
So for one person, 1,580, 2 people, 2,137, so on and so forth.
And that's gross.
And net monthly on the right over here.
Is that like supposed to be after taxes or something? Or like, because people that have that low of an income really aren't paying taxes, man.
Your household must have
$2,750 in countable resources, cash, money in the bank, or $4,250 if someone in the household is over 60 or has a disability. You don't count home or retirement benefits. Yeah, college students. I mean, why would a college student be eligible? That's crazy. But those are the ones now that have to work under it, right? So yeah, I just find it hard to believe that if somebody's saying that they work 2 jobs, and I presume at least with the 2 that you would be working over 40 hours, maybe 1 full-time, 1 part-time job. And then if the husband is working too, I mean, the person I looked at their profile said they were married. You have 2 people and one working more than full-time, one's working 2 jobs, and you still qualify for food benefits? I don't know. But
I think it is specific to each state as well, by the way.
yeah, because the states can add to it, I believe. I just think 42 million people is a lot of fucking people. And here's the thing I know. Here's what I know. I know that I don't know what the percentage is. So I just said something I know. We do know that there's fraud. We do. And how I know there's fraud is because there was a time when I was trying to maximize things. I never applied for any benefits or anything, even after I lost everything. I just never something I did or even tried to do. One thing I did do was buy people's cards. And I used to pay 60 cents on the dollar because the people wanted cash. So people would get the benefits and they wanted cash instead of the food. So, or they'd use part of the card for their food, and then they'd have, say $200 or $300 left over. And some people would pay like 50 cents on the dollar. I always paid 60 cents on the dollar because it was more enticing to get them to sell me their card. And so I'd pick up their card and I would use it and then give it back to them. And I'd go right to the meat market and buy delicious steaks. And I know I'm not the only one that did that. Again, I don't know what the percentage of people is that would sell their benefits, but it's not a few. And if that's not fraud, and I participated in helping that fraud, I'm just being honest talking about it. But yeah, for sure. It is a thing. Maximum monthly allotments. The USDA sets a maximum monthly allotment based on the Thrifty Food Plan, which is the lowest cost food plan that still maintains a healthy diet. And the maximum monthly allotments are $292 for a 1-person household, and 4-person $975. $1,000. That seems like that's no little amount of money, for sure. And I think too, people that, a single person should have to work 20 hours or more. That's not unreasonable to ask for. But those are the kinds of things that the Democrats would like to reverse, is the things like this that we're talking about that happened in the big, beautiful bill. And these people, if they care so much about people getting their SNAP benefits, they don't care enough about these people as they do about illegals who claim asylum, and that the Biden administration enabled them to become parolees. And as parolees, they were allowed to receive health care benefits on Medicaid. That's the group of illegals. And we know that most people who claim asylum, like 10%, it's a small percentage of people that claim asylum that actually have a legitimate claim. But it was a great way to get in the country. It was a great way to get the process started. And then a lot of times they would just disappear into, thin air kind of thing. You know what I mean? So they care more about that and getting those benefits back than they do about people getting their assistance. And some people, I look, I know people need help or need assistance. It's not supposed to be a lifetime thing, but I do realize that. And if you really care about that, they would absolutely get back to work in Washington and then debate health care. Because what we know about health care is that it's not affordable, not even close to being affordable for a lot of people. I mean, there was a period of time where I chose to go without health insurance and just hope nothing bad was going to happen. And a couple of times things that did happen, you know, true disclosure, there were a couple times, you know, $1,000, $2,000 bills. I just didn't pay it, and they just wrote it off. Or we asked them to, or like there was a process for that where you can apply for them to like write it off and not pay when you're in that kind of a situation. You still get the immediate emergency care if you need it, which is what happened. But yeah, it's broke. We knew it was going to be broke. And it's just a way for them to get to a single payer plan. It's an expensive way to get there. I just don't know. We need to do something. I'm not for single payer. I don't think that works. But what we're doing now doesn't work. And what I'm all for is doing something different, to be honest with you. And that's the problem we have now, that Republicans are even, although they had opposed the ACA initially, now they're trying to fix a broken system and not replace it, when that's probably actually what needs to be done. We need to figure out a new level, a new way that we're going to do healthcare, because we're spending a shit ton of money and not getting the results. And I think there's a bunch of reasons for that. And I don't think it should be resolved by having a gun held to their head, which is what they're trying to do now, hold people hostage for the CR vote, for the continuing resolution. It just continues the government for a small period of time. And now that this has gone on so long, it was supposed to be through like towards the end of November. It's got to be extended to the end of the year now. But I just wish they would just get back to work. Just pass the continuing resolution. It's what you've always done in the past. You continue to fund the government as it was being funded the day before that this all happened, and then debate health care. And we're going into an election year. I think that's a good time to do it. Present your ideas. Democrats and Republicans, present your ideas. And then let people will vote on it, on what you're going to implement. And in the meantime, you know, just fund the government. Okay, get these people their checks, especially our military, the people that are essential workers. You know, I'd like to travel here in the next, here coming up shortly. I'd like to go to Nashville. And now I'm looking at, you know, I'm wondering how many flights are delayed because of not having enough workers. And that's a thing right now. If they don't have enough air traffic controllers, they're essential workers, but, you know, they're being forced to work without being paid. And so some of them are not showing up to work. It's happened in the past. And, you know, maybe they're just not showing up for a week. They may be only not showing up for a day, but because they have that, you have enough people that do that. There's not enough people to be able to control the flights. And that's why you're having all these delays and just making a mess of everything, which isn't going to be good for the economy either. Never is. But this is not the way to solve this problem. The Republicans just can't fold and give back what they won. There was an election. The Republicans did win. They do have majorities in the House and in the Senate. The problem is they don't have enough votes in the Senate. You need 60 for most things. And I guess there is an option that they could suspend that and change the rules. They usually refer to things like that as the nuclear option. And maybe they'll have to do that. The problem is, once the first time one of the parties does that, then the other party is going to do that when they're in power. And then you get more of a democratic rule, and that we are not a democracy for a reason. And it's so that the majority can't run over the minority. That's why we have that. It's a check and balance. They very specifically, our founding fathers, chose to have a representative republic because of the history of democracies eating themselves alive. Because what do people do is you just vote for your self-benefits and unending, and then the country can't support it and it holds in on itself. So that's where we're at with the shutdown. I believe WIC benefits are still getting paid, though. It's the SNAP benefits that aren't. At least for now. The WIC benefits, I believe, are going to get paid through the tariffs. They're using tariff money. All right. Where are we at? What else do I have? The ballroom. Another dumb thing I heard said that Swalwell is saying that any Democrat who is elected president, like if they were to win in 2028, that they need to vow, like take a pledge. Any candidate for the Democrats who wants to be president should take a vow to destroy the ballroom. Do you know how that's just so stupid to even suggest that? I'm pretty sure they're going to enjoy the ballroom. What's ridiculous is to have to rent these stupid tents, and I didn't even think about it. Do you really want foreign dignitaries to use in porta potties? That's probably not.
Why not?
Because you're in a tux and they're like high-end people from other countries, and it's a thing.
Oh, well.
Dude. Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not a good look. We'll enjoy the ballroom. It's just ridiculous to say that a nominee should vow to demolish it. That's just, they're going to enjoy it whether they want to admit it or not. You need to have a place for that kind of thing to happen, or, or renting out something else, a different location. That too. They won't have that. They'll have their own thing now. It'll be nice. It'll be beautiful. They can just keep saying dumb shit. Oh, what else do I have? I think that's pretty much covered what I have. Coming up on Wednesday, I'm going to report back to everyone. Dawn and I are both getting another DEXA Fit exam tomorrow. I'm hoping to just be similar to where I was at. Dawn, we're hoping, she was in, her DEXA scan was just phenomenal this last time, as she had started her prep for her contest coming up on November 15th in figure here in Mesa, Arizona. And hopefully she was at 13% body fat, which is really super low for a woman. I believe she's going to come out at somewhere under 11% tomorrow, but it'll be interesting to see if I'm right. We've continued to use the scale that we have at phone that's not accurate, but it shows us what direction she's going, and she has been going lower since that last Dexafit scan. And, dude, she had like, Saturday? I think it was, she had like 3 bites of rice or something like that, dude. It was insane. Not much, and just the veins, you know, that little bit of carb. She is literally, her body's a roadmap of veins popping out, just being so thin. And so she bumped into the counter in the kitchen, right, with her hip, and it's been a little sore for a few days. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dear, you've got no cushion there. Your skin is against the bone on that hip. There's no cushion because the fat is just gone. I mean, just gone. And I had been going through some pictures on my phone or some different things that had come up, and I was just looking back at just in July, when we went to Mexico in July even, and the pictures of her working out, and she was, again, in great shape. But comparing that to now and how big a difference there is, it's really pretty crazy. And then to look at from a year and a half ago when she first got here, again, fit, very fit, but just a whole nother level right now. And proud of her for that and staying on track. She's done a good job of that. So we make it work even when we go out to eat, but that'll probably be a little bit less as we get closer and closer. I'm doing a little bit of the cooking for her too, but yeah, just wow, a little bit of carb, and she just, it's crazy shit, man. So what did you look it up? Did you see, was that right for the WIC? Was I right?
For the WIC, says
are
they
still
are
being
still
paid.
paid, but it is rapidly changing because of the federal government shutdown.
Yeah, they have some money from the, as I said, the tariffs that they will be able to use, but that's only going to go so far. And just there was a big donation. Can you imagine that a wealthy man donates $130 million to pay for the military, to help them get checks, and it's not even close to being enough. It's just a drop in the bucket, and they may not even be able to accept it, although the government did accept it so far. There are some other, I guess, rules that may not allow them to accept it or use it for that, but it still says a lot about a person who's willing to do that, though. $130 million. I mean, he's wealthy, and it was, there was talk because he wasn't public about it, and that's been leaked now. And it's Timothy Mellon. And if you don't know, Mellon Banks. It's a big bank. That's where the wealth came from. So, yeah, that's what we got, man. All right, so on Wednesday, we'll do what we do, go over the news, go over things that interest me, and we need your help to comment, to share, to hit that subscribe button. Contact me on other social media platforms, being Facebook, being X, TikTok, and, of course, Instagram. We hit them all. You can help with that. That'd be great. Appreciate y'all. Much love and appreciation. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fit